guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Nathalie, I'm a musician, and today I'd love to talk a bit about self-discipline because, well, in this time it can be so easy to just binge watch Netflix all day and just game and have some food next to you, and before you know it, the 24 hours of the day are over and you haven't really done anything productive. Don't get me wrong, those days are really fun too, but you know, once in a while we just might want to do something productive with our day. And so as a musician, we are trained to practice every day and keep it going, and it required some effort, but in the end it really gives us structure and it makes sure that we keep improving. So what are these things that we are doing to keep self-disciplined? Let's find out. So my first step So my first tip is almost shamingly easy. Just create a schedule and stick to it. Let's say you want to practice music or even practice piano as of tomorrow. Then make sure you have this piece of paper or make a mental note and say in the morning, let's say 10 a.m., I want to practice piano. You could go as detailed as you want. You could say, I want to practice 15 minutes of technique and then practice 30 minutes of a piece and then having a break. You could go, I want to do scales and then I want to do arpeggios, then I want to take 5-minute break and then I want to do this particular piece, have a 5-minute break, then this other particular piece. You could go as crazy as you want or as zoomed out as you want, as long as you practice the piano. That's basically why we create the schedule in the first place. So creating that schedule, whether it is written on paper or in your mind, will usually help you to get up on your feet instead of just remaining in bed or in the sofa. Usually when you want to do something or add a skill to your skill set, it's usually because you really want to. So just keep that in mind. Create that schedule and stick to it. Our brains love repetition, but our interest hates it. So if we want to keep being interested in whatever it is that we are doing while practicing every day or while practicing self-discipline every day, we kind of need to find something that will keep us away from being on automatic pilot. So if I refer back to the example where you will be practicing piano, sometimes practicing technique can be the dullest part of your practice, but still it's very valuable because your technique makes sure that you can execute pieces more nicely and with more control. So you want to practice technique, but you also don't want to practice technique because it's boring. So in the last couple of days especially, I have found a rather fun way to practice scales, and that was something that as a kid would just really not interest me at all. So now when it comes to practicing scales, I usually go in a circle of fifths or even a circle of fourths, and then I would practice one hand in eighth notes and the other hand in triplets and play both hands together. And it doesn't only sound really cool and funky, but it's also really weird for your brain. It really requires a lot of brain power for me to keep doing this. And then especially if you switch hands when going back down, or if you do one hand triplets and one hand 16th notes and so on, it can really mix things up and keep my interest levels high because I need to have a lot of awareness while doing it. So if you can do something similar with whatever it is that you want to incorporate in your new habits or in your daily routine, it will keep you interested and therefore will keep you going and keep you motivated to remain self-disciplined. My third tip is keep track of your progress, both in the new skill that you're trying to acquire, but also in being self-disciplined. Usually after a couple of days, you will see progress in both those aspects, unless you are maybe not being as practical as you could be about something. So that usually will already keep you going because it gives you a good feeling. It releases dopamine. However, this type of dopamine is usually different than the types of dopamine that we are used to in the society that we live in. We have all these social media apps, and they are really very cleverly designed to increase your levels of dopamine. Just instant gratification dopamine, let's call it that. The dopamine that releases when you have shown up for yourself and kept doing something for a number of days consecutively is different. It takes a bit longer, and if you're used to instant gratification, you can feel demotivated very quickly. So I would suggest to, as you're scheduling your daily new skill that you want to acquire, so the self-discipline, also schedule your amount of social media time, which will hopefully decrease the amount of instant gratification that you're exposed to, and then you can shift your usual levels of dopamine from getting it from instant gratification to getting it from long-term showing up for yourself, new skill acquiring, self-discipline, which is usually what in the end serves you best if you want to live a fulfilled life. I hope that kind of makes sense. So keep track of your progress, know how you feel before you start doing your skill in a day and after. Notice how you feel before in the beginning of a week and after the week has passed. Hopefully that will also be better. And then there's one more thing that I might mention here, which is that every body and every brain works differently. And to me, usually when I introduce a new habit in my routine, by the third week, that's the week where I want to quit. And I'll think of all these reasons why it is hard to keep going and why it would be difficult to keep this in my routine. So usually around the third week, I make sure I keep extra motivated. I would reward myself more. I would be a little less hard on myself. Like, I would be happy with just spending some time with the thing that I want to do, and it doesn't necessarily have to be as intense as I would normally do it. And then still I would reward myself, and that usually gets me through that third week. And then by the fourth week I'm back like I was in the first week, and I can keep going. So for you it might be something entirely different, but try and see what the pattern is, how you work, how your body works, how your brain works, how you incorporate new things, and see the pattern and adjust towards it. And it'll make it far easier to stay self-disciplined over a longer period of time. So this fourth tip is something that I've been introducing in my own life fairly recently, which is trying to think of what I would use to call a lazy day, thinking of it as a rest day. Why would this be important? Because thinking about it as a lazy day, subconsciously then I would interpret that as a reward for the hard work that I've been doing throughout the week. And I don't want the lazy day to be the reward. I want the work to be the reward, because that is what brings me closer to my goals. That is what keeps me growing. That's what makes sure that I'm acquiring new skills, and that in itself creates freedom and creates opportunity. So working is actually the reward. However, we're not meant to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That would just be inhuman. So instead of thinking of being lazy, I'm resting. I'm making sure that my brain can incorporate everything that I've learned. I'm making sure that my body can rest and that my muscles can rest. And then that gives me more energy to keep going the next day. So usually I would keep my rest day just one day in the week. That's especially for the workout routine that I do. When it comes to music, sometimes my rest day can just be half a day, or it could be, well, yeah, sure, it could be a day as well. But that usually doesn't happen a lot because I just really like playing music. So you see the difference between thinking about it as a lazy day and as a rest day. Now, since I've been introducing this fairly recently, I'm not sure yet how that translates into my self-discipline journey, but I'm quite convinced that it will help me acquire things faster and keep motivated. So there you have it, my 4 tips to try and be more self-disciplined during the day. I hope this has opened up some new doors, or it has inspired you in some way to start on that project that you've been wanting to do for so long, or just to watch Netflix a little less longer today. A little less long today. Anyway, if you think a friend might benefit from this video, please go ahead and share it. If you have some tips that you want to add to this, please go ahead and leave it in the comments below. It would be great to hear from you as always, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for spending your time with me today. See you. Bye.